Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another Lab podcast. Today we have a little bit of a new structure that we are going to introduce. So be prepared. It's going to be great. We're just going to kind of go into a little media roundup, what we kind of been watching throughout the week, hitting some kind of hot topics. That'll be kind of part of a new little segment that we're going to be doing along with our usual topic, which we are covering home workouts this week. But before we dive into anything, Seth, Kel, how you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It was a busy week. It was my birthday week, which is exciting. And then we've been really smoky here from the wildfires. So we've had a lot of air issues. So that's been stuffiness and stuff like that. So
Got that California air over there.
not used to it in the Midwest.
Yeah,
How you
you
doing,
only
Seth?
get in fire season, but yeah, sorry. Go for
It
it,
was a
Seth.
smell. It was a smell that I had. This is near and dear to my heart, and I'm just being an ass. I used to live in Chico, California, and I'm from California, so I'm very familiar with the smell. But I've been, expated from California for a few years now in the lovely state of Virginia that is a swamp and does not have fires. So I walked outside the other day with my dog. I was like, is that arson? Like my brain immediately like, it had to be like a crime. I was like, oh no, those are the screams of 1,000 souls of trees north of the border. Like, oh, that's fucking sad, dude. So yeah, and then I hacked up a lung for like 2 fucking hours. So it was really bad. The sun was like red.
Yeah,
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Canada. Thanks, Canada, for the
Yeah.
smoke.
You should try cutting your grass. Isn't that what Trump said it was? It's like they don't mow their grass in the forest.
Yeah, he was talking about the Paradise Fires. He wanted people to rake the forests.
You mean the pleasure fires?
What?
Remember, he called paradise pleasure.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did.
Like, we're out
Yeah,
here in Pleasure, California, and we were all like, what the fuck? Because that's right by where I used to live. And, like, I used to go to Paradise, like, and
Yeah.
anyway, not to make it about wildfires now. I know that's not the point, but
Nah,
yeah, I'm
it's-
good. I'm good otherwise. I went to a wedding this last weekend, and I went a record amount of time without sleeping. The worst, absolute worst qualities were brought out. It was like the Stanford prison experiment. Like, I forgot who I was. I was a shell of a man, and I'm happy it's over. Congrats to the happy couple.
Well, hopefully you'll get more sleep.
Oh, and I saw
this
Paramore.
week. Oh, yes. Can't forget
Yeah.
that. Highlight.
The reason why. Yeah. So, yeah, this is why.
Cool.
Anyway.
This
that's
is
all.
why. I get it.
Thank you.
Good
You
job.
heard my. I done did it. But, Cody, how are you? What are you up to?
I'm good. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Life. I was about to say something that I don't want to talk about on the internet, so I won't.
You forgot we're recording. Ah, shit.
I was like, I'm about to start. Oh wait, never mind. So yeah, life's gonna get a little bit busier soon, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a good thing. Maybe I'll talk about it in the future. I need to get through some of it first. But yeah, no, nothing crazy. Life, lifting, getting ready to compete. Hopefully soon. Feeling a little bit more confident. Now got out of my head, or took my head out of my ass a little bit, and had another posing session. I think what boosted my confidence is I straight up asked my posing coach. I was just like, well, should I actually? I was like, should I compete? I was like, what do you think? Like, what from your perspective, do I have enough muscle to like do well? And he basically was like, if I were you, I would compete. He was just like, you're gonna get way more out of it than if you just try to keep building. He said he thinks I'll do well, and so I'm just gonna kind of take that and run with it. I just think it's time, and I'm old, and my body's gonna fall apart, and I feel like if I pass this opportunity up, it might not happen. So yeah, we're doing it.
You're going to kill it.
I think it's the right.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited though. It's been a second, so part of me is like, I kind of forgot how to be in a deficit, but it can't be too hard. I spent almost a few days in March not eating anything. So just, preparing for a little bit. But yeah, it'll be good. So November 11th is the show I'm aiming for. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah. Should we move on to our media roundup, cardio roundup, whatever we want to call it?
Circuits, I don't know.
Cardio hour. Yeah, but I had it kind of ties in, and I know we have a little bit more to talk about, but I just wanted to mention that I know there was big news in the NPC world.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This week, and so that's like professional bodybuilding. Well, actually, the amateurs. But anyways, they're gonna announce. They announced that they're going to start limiting how big a certain category of bodybuilding can be. So physique will now be weight capped at your height, at different heights. So, what do you guys think about that?
The dawn of short being an advantage is coming. I mean, not the dawn. It's coming to an end, I would say. I would say that's going to be a consequence of that, just looking at the numbers. But I think it's good.
I think it's good too. I do think there are little things that make me nervous. Being short in men's physique was never an advantage, but
you're like, damn it, at least I can be bigger.
Yeah. I think it's good because it has gotten so out of hand. Like, they're just as big as bodybuilders with shorts on for the most part. It makes me nervous because, people were like, but now guys are really going to skip leg day so they don't have to carry the weight in the legs and they can just be bigger up top.
Good
However,
point.
The main guy who addressed it said they will not be rewarding people with that much of an imbalance. Like, they're going to be looking at your legs now. And that scares me a little because I have knee problems. So it's like, I'm not super disproportionate. I still have, leg, one leg.
You have teardrops. Whatever.
Maybe when I'm leaner, but like also when I'm leaner, they'll be smaller.
And less
so
hairy.
It worries. Yeah, well, yeah. So it worries me a little bit because I never skip leg day still, but they're not huge. I wouldn't say they're completely out of proportion to my body. But it does mean they're going to be looking a little bit more on how you're filling those shorts out because of the weight cap and making sure that people are not super whatever fuck that word is disproportionate to their upper body. And I think a lot of men's physique guys probably have knee problems. I know also one guy, Alex Toplin, he's got a knee issue, and I feel as though men's physique kind of allows you to compete even if you might have some of those issues. That's the only reason I'm in this category. But so it concerns me a little. But overall, I think it's good because one thing I always said was, yeah, I'm bigger, but everyone else keeps getting bigger too, and I will never catch up. And this also, they're only applying this to the pro leagues. They're not doing this for amateurs. I don't know that I understand. Maybe they will in the future, but so far they announced they'll be incorporating these new rules after this year's Olympia. So it doesn't even include this year's Olympia. It'll be all the shows following the Olympia because they're still collecting data. They're taking people's heights and weights, and I guess they're just trying to figure out what is the most fair weight range. Yeah, I think at first he mentioned going by classic standards, but again, it's hard because the leg issue, right? What is going to be fair? I don't know.
Just go back to weight classes, but the what was? Oh, I thought it was NPC news.
Well, I mean,
or NPC reported on it, but it's just IFBB.
Well, the NPC is basically just like the amateur league.
Yeah.
So IFBB.
Yeah.
I think they're owned by the same people.
Yeah.
They like to pretend they're different, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like because you get your pro card and then you're in the IFBB. Get it? Yes.
I thought you were saying it was like news pertaining to the NPC, like not that the NPC was reporting it. Anyway, it's fine. It was,
but yeah.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. So I mean, same thing. It's just the NPC is the amateur league. That's all. So, it's like they're not applying it to the amateurs. It's applied to the pros, IFBB
Right.
pros. So,
And that seems odd, right? Because then it's like the people who are Sorry, go.
No, I think my thought of it was that because there's probably not enough people and like to divvy everybody out like that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, but I guess men's physique shows are usually the most people.
yeah, especially now. I do get the feeling that they're probably going to incorporate it in the NPC after they kind of get things down in the pro leagues, because it just doesn't really make sense to me why they wouldn't. Because what if you go pro as a men's physique and you're just already way over your weight class?
Exactly.
Downsize? That's weird. Like, I can't imagine going pro and then having to downsize to compete as a pro.
Yeah, no, took the words right out of my mouth, because that's what would win. And then they'd be like, well, now you're complete. It's like having a new breed of dog. Like, that was the American standard. This is the English standard, ladies and gentlemen. It'd be like, oh, well,
yeah,
I don't know. Well, not a fan of that.
That kind of leads me into like talking about the Arnold aspect of things. So there's a new documentary out there about Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is, one of the most greatest bodybuilders of all time, depending who you ask. But so I don't know if you guys noticed when he was competing in, Europe or Austria in his competitions, and he was winning everything, right? He was hardly in shape. All of them were like 12 weeks out. And I'm pretty sure I'm just as lean as they were when they were competed. And then he came to America, and they just have different standards. And he didn't win the show he entered, and he was devastated. And they were just like, he just wasn't in shape, because they just chased size over there, not necessarily conditioning. So it just kind of is like, it shows that's kind of the same scenario. It's like you go with NBC and you may win, but then there's like different standards in the IFBB, and it's confusing.
So he claims natural up until his move. Okay, because the way that, and I was like, I thought he didn't, but in the documentary, if you listen to how he talks about it, he only addresses steroid use after he's already like under the wing in California. So
I think they were just trying not to make that part a big deal, is what it sounded
he was like, oh, we
down
started then. Yeah, it was like, that's kind of seems like a lie. I feel like you don't have to like lie about it. Like, you can still downplay it, but it just, I don't know. It came off as a lie to me.
Plus, I think he probably maybe didn't feel comfortable talking about it until later on as well. Who knows what the legalities were where he was. I mean, obviously it's not legal in California, but
it was then.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's
1990.
why he was able to talk about it a bit more. Maybe it wasn't legal where he was from originally.
That's
I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, it was, because he's always been like, yeah, I used it, but it was legal when I did it. Now all these people are using it illegally. That's why he doesn't approve anymore.
I wish when he was governor, he could have, helped that out.
We had one of our own in government.
Right?
Freaking bodybuilders, man.
I think the whole time I was wondering how their systems work, because now we got the internet. It's a lot easier for sourcing and stuff like that. But then how the fuck? Like, it was probably back door of the gym. They're just like, meet me out back, like having like an actual drug dealer and like meeting up and stuff. Like, sounds awful.
The social anxiety would just keep going.
I know. I would never do any of that.
It sounded like there was a question mark at the end of that, which made it funnier. That would be awful.
That would be awful.
That would be so bad.
What did you guys think about the doc overall? I know I know Cody finished it, and Seth, you watched the first one. So what did you think?
What did you think, Seth?
Oh, you know what? I was like, I'm afraid to jump in because I have a lot of thoughts and I don't want to. Okay, so
no, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, I found there to be a lot of unintentional humor in it. I really admire Arnold. I admire his work ethic. A lot of his attitudes that I don't know if he purposefully applies stoicism, but the things he says are like stoic. values, like the, not pitying yourself and doing rather than thinking about doing. I love those things, and I try to live those things, even though they're like antithetical to my nature, which, call to a higher path. But the things that really got me, he's so hero's journey, right? Like he starts out and he's just, this big kid in a little world, and then he's like, oh man, I'm the big fish, I'm the best. But then, mid plot, oh no, there's the backslide. He's been humbled. He's willing to work under the greats, builds himself up, becomes a real life Hercules. Da da da, like that. Like I love that story, like there's so many movies like that, but his was like fucking real. But he's also one of the most arrogant son of a bitches that ever walked the earth. But we love him for it. Even though he says some weird shit sometimes, and I don't know how he was governor, but I mean, all that being said, I still like the guy.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know that it changed my perspective on him by any means. Like I kind of have an idea of what he's about. I think I was most impressed by his political career, to be honest. And I know Seth hasn't quite.
I didn't watch it.
But,
I haven't got to that part yet either.
Okay, should I not? Should I not spoil
Spoilers.
it for you guys?
It's not a surprise.
You can tell us what you think, and we can go, wow.
Well, I think what I found most fascinating about his political career, and the last episode, they're saying like the bodybuilding, the acting, that was just a warm up for his political career. That's where he really was meant to be. That's where he really shined. Blah blah, and I was in California when he was governor. It's so funny because I often forget about that. He was a Republican, which most people I don't know that they know, or California has had a Republican governor before, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Compared to now, not really. But
he did a really good job of not being too far on either side. He's married to a Democrat who happened to be a Kennedy. So it was like a way different balance than people are used to. But the part that I found most impressive, but kind of cool, was that, well, a few things. One, where the fuck did Arnold go to school? Nowhere. He still became the governor of California. He still did, he came from another country, for fuck's sake. So the story in itself is very inspiring to be he literally, from the ground up, built, to where he got. And he does still give credit to the people who helped him get there. He said there's always people that be like, you're the real self-made man. And he's just like, I don't like when people say that because it's not true. Because he basically, he feels he's indebted to all these people that helped him along the way. But when he describes his first day of governor, in office, he's like, so I remember going in the office and just being in there and then being like, okay, what do I do now? He's like, do I just wait till, someone brings me some issues that something I should sign, or do what do I do? And they're saying that they thought the reason why he was decent is because he didn't know politics. He didn't know what the people did before him. So everything he did was just Arnold's way of doing things, which ended up mostly being, better because he's not a politician, right? So, he had his ups and his downs as governor, but ultimately he left, leaving California in a better spot than it was. I just found that the most impressive because he actually found a way to bridge that divide that we are trying so hard to do now, but very much so failing. So he actually had, he was surrounded by Democrats and Republicans, and he didn't care what party someone was in. He schmoozed with all of them, as he said. So I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And because we will fall into a rabbit hole so deep we'll never crawl out if we open this chasm. But I was going to say what really strikes me when hearing you say that, because he was a true moderate, but that's fairly that was fairly standard in those days. Even there was bipartisanship or whatever. Now it's so tribalized that it's kudos to him for acting how, I mean, he was definitely more moderate than plenty of them at the time, but it was more of a rainbow rather than a deep red or a deep blue. Anyway, I don't want to
Yeah.
go.
He got, and he was like the first Republican to care about the environment. Essentially, he got some bill passed that ended up being adopted nationally. I forget which one it was, but that was kind of his thing. You know, caring about the environment and saying like this is a conservative issue because we need a green economy and all these things. So he was able to kind of, you know, plant that seed to be like, hey, yeah, this does matter. So yeah, I don't know.
He's a capitalist. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
I don't know. I really like Arnold. I love his physique. Am so blown away by his confidence. And yes, it is arrogance, but to be honest, he works his ass off and he earned it. And to me, it becomes problematic. Yeah, that gets annoying as hell. If you're his friend, hearing him all the time, that would be fucking annoying. But like looking back now, it's like he did it and he made it true. So like whatever he said, he was like, I'm gonna fucking do that now, and he went and did it. And obviously, we can talk about how yes, he was a foreigner, yes, he came from a humble background, all that stuff, but he also he was a handsome white guy in the 70s. Like it, okay, yeah, you had a little help, and I just think it's so impressive and
the greatest genetics
ever. And
Yes.
but like he also I love how he thought about bodybuilding and that in his way of talking about how he's like, I just built it like an artist. He's like, and I sculpted myself how I wanted to see myself. And to me, that's why I loved bodybuilding. That's why I fell in love with it. It was to sculpt the body I always wanted. And that just resonates with me. So
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Same. It's wait, before I forget, but like there's the montage where he's training like in his room, you know, and it's like, yeah, then I was gonna sculpt the body that I wanted, and I was watching, I was like, hell yeah, and Charisse was sitting with me watching it at that time, and out of the corner of my eye, she was trying not to like bust up laughing. And I'm like, this is how we seem to be. It's like this. And you're like, yeah, this is pumped up. This is the kind of shit I watch before the gym. And then she's sitting there like, because it's like basic. Well, actually, I think it was more intense than that. But like him just like, you know, pumping iron. But we, you know, we're just different, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think my favorite part too that he talked about is he's like, I've always basically he's talking about his brain being wired differently, or he's had this gift of visualizing things, and he said, you know, if I can visualize it, then I know it's possible. And I thought that was cool. Like, I've always been someone who likes to visualize things, and even if I don't know it at the time, like everything that I've worked for in my life, I have visualized at some point. Sometimes I forget to stop and think and be like, dude, like I made this happen somehow, and I visualized it, and I pushed, I worked hard, and I made it happen. But it's just cool that he doesn't even seem to doubt it. It's like he visualizes it, he goes after it, he makes it happen, and end of story. It's not this like, I'm even with competing, like, I don't know if I should, guys. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to compete. I'm going to dominate. Like, he doesn't even question himself, which I don't know what that's like, but the visual aspect of it, I get that. I do that. Even if I subconsciously am not thinking about what I'm doing, I do that. And anytime I have trouble visualizing something in the future, it generally doesn't pan out. Not because I'm not visualizing it. It's because it's almost like, maybe I deep down just don't want it, or I know in my gut that it's not the right direction to go. So I felt like it was kind of this way of saying, hey, listen to your gut. If you can visualize it, you can make it happen. If you can't, then, maybe choose a different direction.
Yeah.
I just, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go into it. So if you're so, go ahead.
No, I just thought when we're thinking about Arnold's mentality, like the only bodybuilder that I see doing that now is Nick Walker. And it's
out of my mouth.
He's just like, no, this is what is happening. And it's just like, and obviously I'm also watching the MCU. We don't need to go into that, but
We
it
could.
just reminded
We
me
could
of
another
that
time.
Thanos thing. That's like, I'm inevitable, and
I'm inevitable.
it's kind of a cool thing to say. Like, yeah, one, it sounds badass, but two, it's like, no, I'm gonna make this happen whether you help me or not. If you would help me, that would be cool and help me move forward faster. But I'm gonna figure this out with or without you. You can
It's
either
a
get on or
villain.
get it back, and
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
It's like villain ruthless energy, like ruthlessness in your relentlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Same word, kind
Yeah.
of? Now I feel confused. Well, English is weird, but I was going to say what kind of got me in my feels. Well, actually, no, I won't lie. I felt, as a man, genuine emotion. And it was when he was talking about inside, he doesn't feel good enough. Despite all his bluster and stuff, like he still is like, but, you know, when no one's around, I'm like, you're this worthless piece of shit, basically. And I was like, oh man, we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
And just hearing him say that made me feel better. Even though, I mean, I'm like, oh, I too look like I'm sculpted from marble, but inside I feel like an ugly. It just, you know, that everyone has insecurities. Everybody, even the guy. That, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't get over his hero's journey, and at the same time being like, I personally think the reason why he had such an effective political career in, you know, enough ways where he didn't get canceled or anything after, right, is born from that sort of charisma that got him where he was in the first place. Because I really don't believe that people just looked at his muscles and were like, you're going somewhere, kid. I think they just got it from him, that it was like, you're different. Like, you're not just some guy with muscles.
Right. Yeah, he had a whole different layer to him that a lot of people don't. And charisma can go a long way. Fortunately, I do not
To
have
office.
that.
Yeah, shut up.
But I also did say that I think the other day I literally said I trust no one with charisma because they can sell you anything. Yeah, they can become fake gurus and shit. That's literally why I said that. But at least he's never tried to. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was like, that seems like that's like the perfect segue for our next topic.
Yeah.
I think we should post that to next time because we don't want to fall behind schedule.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll move the media that we had scheduled to next time, since we kind of went pretty far on the Arnold documentary. But stay tuned next week. We're going to be talking about shiny, happy people. So
cult leaders.
Talking about cult leaders.
Yeah.
That'll give me time to finish it. Yay!
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. We'll do that. So any last words about the Arnold documentary or Arnold in general? I know he did have a little bit of a thinking now it's basically nothing, but he did end up having a child with his housekeeper that,
as many kings do,
ended his marriage ultimately. I guess they're going to therapy, and you know, his wife asked, I think his name's Joseph or something. Is Joseph your son? And he was like, yes. So,
oh yeah, I forgot that it was like not something like, oh, she's pregnant. That must be like this kid was like,
yeah, it was already born. Which, funny enough, I think he's actually the one that's semi into bodybuilding.
Well, yeah, because he's the bastard. Oh, sorry.
Or he was just like, I need to make Dad proud because he didn't know, or he pretended I didn't exist for half my life.
Everyone picks on his other son, though. It's not cool, but the memes are funny. The one that's not a bodybuilder.
I think his name's Patrick
chunky.
Schwarzenegger,
I think he might have since shaped up, but can you imagine being Arnold's son and not being in shape? That'd be like, bully me, target.
Yeah, that's sad. That would suck.
It is. Like, that sucks me. Okay.
All right.
So, no, I don't have anything. But so, do we want to switch over to the home workouts?
Yeah, our topic, home workouts. So, this one, how about home workouts? How do you guys feel about them? Have you ever done them? We've all done them. If you've been through COVID, you've probably done a home workout or two.
You didn't.
Or you didn't. You gained the COVID-19. But yeah, what do you guys think about them?
I think they're great for a lot of people. I think it's a really great for a lifestyle client who just wants to feel better, look better. It's a great place to start, especially if you struggle with gym anxiety. Um, but yeah, eventually most people do outgrow it unless they have a really nice home setup.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I feel like starting out they can be good, and that's where I started out. And then over time, I think you do reach a plateau unless you get very creative. And I really think you can't go in the type of training direction that I wanted to go into or we wanted to go into. But if you're into calisthenics or something, you could get a rig that's not expensive that you could keep, improving. But even they have to do other stuff. But I want to know what Cody thinks because he fucking prepped for a bodybuilding show during COVID, and I watched every video that with buying the shitty cables and being like, God damn it, these don't work, or like having the bench, and then dude, and before you go into that, just wanted to say I saw something that Arnold used to do backstage. He would put a barbell loaded with plates on it, obviously, on top of like a shelf thing a little bit, and he laid on the ground. I was like, man, if Cody'd have that, he wouldn't have had to buy a bench. It was just like a little retracted. Anyway.
Yeah, no, so the only reason I was prepping for a bodybuilding show at home with what I had available was literally out of desperation. It was the only option. That too, but especially equipment got so fucking expensive during that time. The only way that I had the equipment that I had is I had some clients I had a client in Spain, some in Europe where all the shutdowns were happening first, and my client, I had a video chat with him, and he was like, you guys are, I feel like, about a week behind us. And so I knew it was coming. And I was at the gym this day. I was seeing on the news, how shutdowns are happening. I immediately left the gym. Kind of felt like I knew it was going to be the last time I was going to be in there for a while. Went to Big Five, bought dumbbells, bought a thing, and I brought it home. And I'm so glad I did, because I wouldn't have had another chance to even have the equipment that I had. But that being said, I think when it comes to home workouts, there just needs to be this expectation that is set properly, being like, it's a great place to start, but yes, you will grow out of your equipment unless you have enough money to invest in everything you basically need, heavy weights, things that you could still use progressive overload with. But if you just have bands and dumbbells, and the dumbbells only go up to 30 pounds, realistically, it's only going to get you to a certain point, and you're going to either need to invest in more equipment, or you're going to need to join a gym, because you are not going to be able to keep gaining muscle. You are going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a plateau, unless you find
that's what you want.
Yeah. If you don't care about building muscle, you just want to be healthy, home workouts are you're fine. But if you have this idea that you want to compete in bodybuilding, it's not going to be super realistic to do at home unless you basically have a gym in your home with everything you need.
I have my first fitness training certification I had was for DVRT, which is a sandbag based modality. So I had, when COVID hit, I had 5 different sandbags, and I think I had them loaded up from 150 to down as low as to 200 or 20, and so that was really nice. But if you ever do want to build a pretty awesome gym, if you're not looking for bodybuilding, that is a really good option, and it's really cost effective. The bags are a little bit of an investment. I think they're $100, and then you just fill them with sand, or they have water bladders. And I think it's so useful. I used to do it a lot when I was traveling, because you can just throw the empty bag, fill it in the sink, you got 60 pounds. So.
I feel like our ancestors are screaming in horror. They're paying all this money, they'd be out in the fields for 12 hours a day, be this sack of grain, and now we're simulating it, and it's amazing, but it's so effective. It's a full body workout. So that's awesome advice, and it can be cost effective, especially if you just go to a supply store, because I think you don't even have to buy fancy shit. You could get some kind of durable material from Home Depot, and boom, and then accidentally rip it open in the middle of your house and have a kitty litter house. That'd be great.
But on that topic as well, I think people need to realize that with limited equipment, things will also get repetitive. You know, like the sandbag stuff is great if you're okay, you know, doing the same things basically over and over.
Manual
That's
labor
just,
simulated.
yeah, it's strength training in general. You're always going to need to do repetitive things, but obviously the gym allows for a little bit more variation. And I think, uh, you know, when it comes to the basics of home equipment, what I always tell people who are wanting to work with me, at bare minimum, have a good set of adjustable dumbbells. So you have weight options and then bands. That's like the bare minimum, because bands, you can kind of act as cables, but you can also use them to add resistance to the dumbbells if you use them right and get creative. Uh, Benches are super great if that is in the budget, but ultimately, I'm like, if you have nothing else, dumbbells and bands, and then we could start with that.
I'm stuck on. Hold on. I'm going to ask the dumb question that, you know, if there's any other dumb people listening, they'll understand. Bands, how? How would band make harder dumbbell? Strapped to forehead, smacking face? Like, am I being stupid right now?
You said you watched all my COVID videos. Now you're just like,
dude, I don't remember you using resistance bands.
Yeah, you remember you could like tie it to the handle, put it behind your back, and then you could make bench pressing harder.
Yeah.
You can do that with like deadlifts. You can do that with rows.
Why can I still? You just described it to me, and I still can't picture it. I feel like a moron.
Or like one thing I did is I, you know, wrapped it around the dumbbell, and then I stood on the other end with my foot.
Oh!
So like it was created more tension, more weight. This, like the weight wasn't heavy enough. So use a band, make it heavier. So there's just little tweaks like that you could get creative when you need to. That's why I'm always like bands and dumbbells. If nothing else, at least these two. You know, and there's body weight stuff, but again, you will hit a plateau. You can't continuously build muscle off of just body weight. You can build muscle, but there's an end point. So as long as you're okay with that and you have the right expectations going into it, like it's fine. It's all about the expectations, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel now I'm like wondering if there's ever been any experiments done on people just adjusting volume. Like, and obviously there's not a point where you can do that indefinitely because then you just have injury. But like, right. Yeah, like at what point does it really tip, and does it vary by individual?
I mean, I think COVID was very. Yeah, sorry. I was like, that was a great experiment.
Yeah, and I mean, and we can. I think it does vary by individual. It varies by like, because if you're a brand new person who's never worked out, you can go pretty long on bands and dumbbells, especially if you just like have maybe like a fat loss goal. Maybe not. Yeah. You're not looking to build a ton of muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things you can do to get creative. It's just, again, like knowing what. It's just a tool, right? So if you know what tool is good for each job, you can kind of make a more informed decision.
Yeah, and I think with that too, just wanted to say to anybody who's listening, who's, you know, maybe having issues with adapting to a home workout program because that's what they can do right now, because they're concerned they're just gonna, well, in 2 weeks I won't be able to use any of this shit anymore, because I fell into that trap myself, and I sabotaged myself so many times through the years by telling myself that I needed to like commit to this expensive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wasn't actually going to do it. Like, oh, if I spend all this money, I'll definitely do it. Just start small, for the love of God. Don't go out there and buy like the most expensive shit thinking like, well, now that I've sunk this cost, because guess what? When you've decided randomly that you don't feel like doing it anymore and you just spent all that money on that, you're still not going to use it. You'll just feel bad at the same time. So I'd say start and like tell yourself like, today I'm going to do this for myself and I'm going to feel better. And there'll be times that I want to do it. But anyway, that was something that I personally got way ahead of myself, and still do all the time, thinking, well, this is what I'm going to need. I'm like, dude, that is a future you problem. Just worry about today.
Well, that leads me to the next issue, is that people think they're more likely to use their or work out if they work out at home because they have their equipment right there and there's no commute. It's just readily available. But what I've seen happen over the years of coaching is anyone who decides, or even wants to start or decides to move from the gym to home workouts, is it's actually not the case. They end up not working out as often because there's so many distractions in your home. At any point, you could decide to stop. You could eat something. You could start cleaning something. You could like, there's all these things in your house. You'd be like, I should be doing this, or I could be doing that. I don't feel like doing this. I don't have to like leave the gym. I'm just here. I could just crawl in bed and watch Netflix, and there's no consequences to that. There's no one watching me. No one knows. So when you're like sleeping, working out, all in the same vicinity, it gets very, very demotivating. There's just something about the gym environment separating you from your work home life that really helps kind of get the gears going. And then there's also the social pressure of everyone else is working out. I'm not just going to stand here like an idiot. So that's the part where I'm like, mentally, there's misconceptions. People think that they're going to be more motivated to work out at home, having it right there, and there's no social pressures. They're not anxious about it. But sometimes I think a little anxiety is a good thing to get your ass moving. So yeah,
I think having ritualistic behaviors around it can really help for people. When I was working out at home, or even when I'm working at home, I don't just slap into things at any random time. You should have like a routine that kind of gets you set in that, just like you would if you were going to the gym. Like if your drive to the gym is your, part of your ritual, because it has to be, then you should have something that also kind of makes your mind focus on what you're actually about to do, instead of half-heartedly lifting a dumbbell while you're watching Seinfeld. Like it's,
Yeah, absolutely. Then I think it's just about figuring out what your tics are. So like, are you someone who can focus long enough at home to do home workouts? If you are, that's great. If someone has kids and that's going to be the only way they can work out is during nap time, you just kind of have to understand that that's going to be hard, because there's also a chance that they'll wake up early. And so I think it's just understanding what you're going into ahead of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Very personal, your personality and what your constraints are right now, but the goal being to get people to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
But I one of my goals and like factors that will make me feel like I succeeded in life is have a really sick home gym.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I think the best part is, when we're all living in the same place, right? So one of us or whatever,
one of us need it.
Yeah, we'll have like an awesome home gym, but then you get to work out together still, and then it's the best experience. I think that was definitely what was missing with COVID, but just missing in general is like there is that camaraderie that the gym can have, and even as a socially anxious person that mostly generally dislikes everybody, I still find it much needed for the gym, and there's just a little bit of a social interaction for the day. Everyone needs a little bit, even me. So it's like, if you can have your own space to work out, with your friends, I'd love to work out with you guys. You could film, you wouldn't have to worry about waiting for equipment and all that stuff. So like, there are positives. Shirtless. Yeah. So, basically we're like, wait, we're not building a home gym here. We're building just a whole ass gym.
And then you just open it.
Private gym.
Yeah. What if we just open it and like we charge people boom.
I mean, we could do a private gym.
Linking back to the Arnold doc though, because that was one thing that he mentioned about when he moved to California, is the camaraderie and the community that made him feel so good. It made him like fall in love with the process,
belonging
of it all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even know that they really have that anymore. Because when you watch Pumping Iron, they worked out together. They trained. They did everything together, and they also competed against each other. And like, that is not
fed each other. They oiled each other up.
But I wish it was the case.
Yeah,
I wish it was the case.
Yeah,
maybe one day we'll make it like that when we move to California.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. It's non-negotiable. So
welcome to the lab.
Yeah, yes. and we'll have a lat pull down machine that never breaks. Amen.
What?
Oh, sorry. I just realized that only I would get that joke. The one at my gym breaks all the time.
Oh, yeah. We'll make sure that it's not broken.
Yeah, that's all I want, Santa.
Well, does that conclude our home workout segment, or you guys have anything else you want to add?
So.
Kilograms and pounds. Read them when you.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting weights that I got, you got them on Amazon. Those aren't going to be in pounds, friend.
No.
Those are from another country.
My adjustable dumbbells are in kilograms too.
I
That was-
mean,
and-
That was the only thing I could find at the time. So, and they're also massive. They look like fucking
Yeah.
Flintstones.
If you
dumbbells
don't,
or
yeah,
something.
and if you don't leave the system, it's fine. But then I found it jarring and confusing. Anytime I'd go, I mean, shit. Even my old gym had kilograms and on some equipment and pounds on the other, and I was like, this is evil.
yeah, same. I feel like America just needs to switch over to the metric system. I don't know
Yeah.
why we
Well,
have
that'll
it
be the
yet.
last segment. Anyway, yeah, the metric system rocks. It's metal. It's good.
Anyways, Power Talk.
Brought to you by the
Yeah.
metric system.
So, because we were fanboying Arnold, I have an Arnold quote, and I think I've
Ooh,
actually
perfect.
used this as a power talk before, but I'm just gonna do it again anyways. So this is a poster I have hanging up at my back door. It used to be in my bedroom, but then when Maddie and I moved in together, she's like, "That cannot go here." All right,
I don't want to look at him.
yeah. So the quote is, "A well-built physique is more than vanity. It shows discipline and dignity and dedication. It requires patience, passion, and self-respect. It cannot be bought, stolen, or inherited. It cannot be held onto without constant work."
I dig it. I
Amen.
agree.
I think it's such a good quote.
It is. Definitely is. That's why it's like, a lot of times when people see bodybuilders, they think of vanity, but I'm just like, I see discipline, I see hard work, and I see the things that I admire the most. So
Yeah.
that's what I see.
Well, for me, it's a matter of, well, yes, but. Because for me, I mean, yeah, like it's part of like I like feeling good about myself, like on a superficial level, but that's like the icing on the cake. That's not the pursuit itself.
Yeah. Just a bonus to look good, essentially.
You're like, oh, cool, that works out. I eat the same thing all the time, and I'm like, okay, I have some muscles. And then you're like, shit, that's what it takes. Because when you spend a good portion of your life not in shape, you're like, how the fuck? Those lucky bastards. And you're like, oh, they're actually like, unless you're super freakishly genetically gifted, you're suffering somewhere. You just have to pick your suffering.
Yeah, that's why it's always pretty disheartening when someone's like, "Oh, you're so lucky," and you're like, "Shut the fuck up!
Fuck that.
This is not
Yeah.
luck. This is
Yeah.
a lot of hard work, a lot of years, a lot of repetitive things. Of course,
Demons.
it's things that I chose because I enjoy it for a reason, but definitely not luck."
Yeah.
All right. Well, adios. See you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Next week, tune in for Shiny Happy People discussions. But also, don't forget to subscribe, follow wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Also, leave us a review if you get a chance. We always like to hear your feedback.
Roast
ways that we
me.
can improve the podcast, roasting Seth. All is
Don't
welcome.
roast me.
No roasting.
If it's really funny, I'll read it out loud at the beginning of an
There you
episode.
go.
Like it's a really good roast.
If your review is good enough, we'll make sure
Oh, yeah.
it's still 5 stars, even if you're roasting Seth.
Even if it's nice.
But yeah, leave us a comment, review, whatever. You can also find us on Instagram at the Lab Fit. There's a lot of underscores in
With
there.
underscores.
Yeah, figure it
Yeah.
out, people.
All that's in the description, but I will say goodbye for now. Peace out.
Bye.